Porter Ray, coming out of Seattle, Washington. Coming out of Seattle, the influences on my music is jazz is a heavy influence on my music. You know, with Quincy coming out of Seattle and going to Garfield and everything. That's kind of the mood in Seattle too. It's very gray, and you know, it's raining, and so yeah, it feels jazzy. You know, that's kind of the feel. So jazz was a huge influence. You know, indie rock and grunge is an influence, and then yeah, hip hop obviously for me was a huge influence. Guys like Infinite, groups like Narcotic, obviously Ishmael and Diggable Planets. But yeah, a lot of jazz, a lot of hip hop, and a little bit of indie rock and some grunge. Signing to Sub Pop has been an amazing experience, and I feel honored and blessed, you know, to be a part of the label. They're such good people, but it's also such a legacy over there, you know. When I initially signed, I felt it was kind of nerve-wracking, and I felt pressure, and I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, just being one of the first hip hop acts signed to Sub Pop, and with the legacy that comes with it, I wanted to, you know, I just want to really represent. And so there was a lot of pressure that came with it, but they're great over there. They're cool, you know. It doesn't feel corporate. It feels like family, and you know, they're very welcoming and supportive, and yeah, it's, you know, over time, at least over the last 2 years that I've been signed to them, it's definitely relieved all that pressure. You know, they're just as excited as I am for me to put out this music. You know, I am working on my debut album. It'll be coming out this year. So which is super exciting. I'm really proud of it. I think it's my best work so far, and I think it's gonna open a lot of people's eyes and ears when they hear it. For me, writing is I'm constantly writing. I write in my phone all day. If I think of a rhyme, I'll scribble it down. I also keep a notebook nearby, and so when I'm constantly writing, and when I'm trying to create a song, it's like it's a different process each time, but it's like putting a puzzle together, because I have all these bits and pieces. I might have a rhyme that I wrote a month beforehand, and then I'll, you know, hear the music and write something then, and then I'll combine both of them, you know. But it's been tough, because for the album, I put out a bunch of mixtapes leading up to the album on Bandcamp and things like that, SoundCloud. And for the album, it's like really trying to dig inside yourself and get personal and give the people a real, you know, piece of yourself. And so that gets hard. You know, I've had we all have, but I've had some hardships in my life, and trying to delve into those things is, you know, during the creative process is a task in itself, you know, dealing with that. But at the end of the day, it's very therapeutic, you know, and I feel like I've grown as a human and as a man throughout the process of just being able to express all that stuff that I had bottled up inside me, you know, and being able to express it on beats, and, you know, for the world to hear it when it comes out is really exciting. I definitely feel a vulnerability when I'm performing, due to the depth of my lyrics and how open I'm being. But it's not a vulnerability. I don't look at it as a weakness. It's more like if I let down my guard, because the people want to connect with the artist on stage. You know, it's not like being vulnerable with someone who doesn't want to connect or who's judging you or anything like that. The people in the audience are there to accept what you are going to give them, you know? And so being vulnerable on stage, being able to express what I've been through, and I can see in people's faces, you know, that they're connecting and listening to what I'm saying, and it becomes this spiritual experience. And it's great energy. I love it, you know? It's nothing like being on stage and expressing yourself and everything that, or most everything that I'm saying, because I mean, you know, I fantasize a lot too in my rhymes, but, you know, I'm telling my story, and so I get to express it, and I get to, you know, see, even if it's 50 people, that's still 50 people listening to what I'm talking about, you know, and me expressing what I've been through. And so I love it. I love the vulnerability of being on stage. As humans, we don't want to, you try to block out all your bad memories, you know what I mean? And you know, like in my music, I touch on my little brother who was murdered. My father passed away and suffered from multiple sclerosis for a lot of my life, and like I don't want to I tried to block those memories, you know. And then being in the studio and going into that, it sometimes you don't want to on certain days. You know what I mean? You might be having a good day. You don't necessarily want to think about the losses in your life and things like that. But it is I don't know. It's trying to find that balance because again, it does make for great art, and that's as an artist, that's what I want to give is the best art that I can. So day in and day out, it gets harder, but I've been finding the key not to rely on intoxication to reach these points where I can express myself and become vulnerable, or where I can like I said, sort of get deeper into into some of the topics that I'm discussing. But just I've been realizing that it's much more therapeutic. And so now it's getting a lot easier, But there are times where I get that writer's block because I don't want to go there every time, What's going on? This is Porter Ray coming out of Central District, USA, Seattle, Washington, and you're watching Grammy Pro.